guest here by the name of Miss Polly. I saw her. Shout out to Knowledge and Intelligence. Is that the name? Okay,
Knowledge
cool.
and relationships. Yeah.
Knowledge and relationship. Very good content over there. They do a multiple stuff where they actually talk about relationships, and they actually do some, shout out to the geeks and the nerds out there, do some gaming stuff too. So I respect that. They keep a good balance and a deep conversation. So when I saw you over there, you had pretty much a conversation about, you touched a little bit on polyship, but it was a lot of context, and everybody went left and right just to get more of their understanding of it. And that's pretty much where later on I reached out to you, said, hey, I want to just have the conversations because, here at Great Pill Podcast, I'm all about perspective, hearing everybody's side of the story, not the quote unquote YouTube term pushback,
Right.
and, it's bad in those streets too. And just to get an understanding of. Now, for me, I know one person personally that is currently in a poly, just got married, I think maybe a month or two ago, but I really didn't understand it. And so I was doing my homework about a week or so ago, and here we are. So the first question everybody's pretty much wondering, now I thought it was two. So for you, since you are in a poly relationship, what is poly?
Yes. Yes. Thank you for having me. And yeah, poly. Oh gosh, poly can be so big if you want it to be.
Yeah.
But poly, just in general, just the flat out right, is being able to be in a relationship with more than one person at the same time.
Okay.
That's real simple way we kind of put it. So being able to be in multiple relationships at the same time and giving the same amount of energy towards those relationships, even if they may look different.
Okay. Now, let's break this down, because when the norm of society, when we hear be in a relationship, we're thinking like hoeing or open relationship. But I saw here where one's called like a triad.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that?
Oh, absolutely. So in poly, there's usually three main kinds of poly. There's really actually four, but we're going to keep with three.
Correct.
So a tripod is usually made up of a relationship with three people, just like a tripod on a little stand. And it's usually where all three are interacting with each other. They all have a relationship, and they call it closed. So it's a closed tripod if nobody else is going outside of those three people. And you usually see that with a man who has two women who are bisexual, and they also have a relationship with each other separate from the relationship they have with him.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it was open, would it be a different term for it if it was open?
It would still be a tripod. It would just be an open tripod, which means they would be open to adding another person, or maybe one of the people in that tripod has another partner off to the side that's just theirs. So then they would not be open any longer. It does start trying to change the dynamic. I think that's where a lot of people get like, oh my gosh, there's so many people.
Correct.
Is it just free for all? And it makes them nervous because they're like, well, I don't want to deal with all these people and I'm not knowing who's with who. And that does become a really big situation, but they actually have a name for that, and it's called a web. That's web poly. A lot of people don't do that, but a lot of people are interested in it because they don't have to feel committed to anyone.
Okay, we don't have to dive that deep because
Yeah.
So right now, if correct me. So right now you're in a closed poly.
I am not closed. I'm polyamorous.
Okay.
But I look like I'm polyandry. Polyandry is when a woman has more than one male partner, and those male partners usually don't have any other partners.
Okay.
That's what polyandry is, yeah. But I'm not.
Okay. So pretty much you led the charge of the poly, like, hey, I am, because I had noticed there was one here like a solo poly and a pair. So it started off with you.
Yeah, I was by myself, and I decided to date, and since I'm not bisexual, I date obviously males, so I dated separately, and I had two different partners. So what they usually call that is a V. My dynamic looks like a V because my partners aren't with each other, not bisexual, so they're just my partner.
Okay.
But they have the option to go outside that, but they my partners haven't done that.
Okay, so you chose two males, and they are both aware of the
Yeah.
relationship
Oh yeah.
dynamic.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
They very much know so much about each
okay.
other.
Now the first one did, and I'm just acting like asking this question pretty much how regular people ask. Um, did you date both of them at the same time, or did you when you found one, did you went ahead and found another one, or you dated the one with the mindset, hey, with the goal of being a poly and let me vet this guy out, and then when this person um, worked well with you, and then you start then seeking somebody else.
Oh, right. So when I did start poly altogether, I wanted to male partners, and I did have a partner. I already had someone I was with already for a while, and so I was just stayed with him, and then I started kind of dating outside of that. We had a quite a long relationship, so I was felt okay to go out and find someone else. But I dated someone I already had past dated before
Okay.
that I hadn't been with in a while. So it was kind of like a new experience. He had gone through some things, and we tried it that way. And then when we decided not to be together anymore because he wanted some other things in life,
Mm-hmm.
I start dating again and found another partner. And I do take my time. So I'll do, I don't want to say vet them, but I at least get to know like if they're going to be committed to the relationship before adding on. And at one point I was able to do a lot more dating. And I would just, I got able to do it. It took time, but I was able to do
Okay.
it. And I did get to a place which sounds really high where I was able to kind of maintain 8 relationships at the same time. I'm not saying they were all sexual, but just maintaining the interaction with that many people at the same time. That's a
Okay.
really high number. A lot of people can't do that number. And then I know that's not my number now. So it's like
Unless you're in high school humping rabbit, yeah, you
right.
can, yeah,
No, it's
you get
not
away
for
with in
me.
high school.
No, yeah, I think it was just kind of the excitement that I was able to. I had a lot of people coming to me, and so it was a lot of people trying to date me, trying to get to know me, and I just opened up that door to be able to interact with them. I didn't necessarily commit to anyone, any fashion. Some were long distance, some were not, and then I was like, okay, I can kind of manage that number, but that's high. And
Okay.
then I pulled back the reins, and I found that place for me that kind of feels better. But
Okay.
yeah, right now I have 2.
All right. So two questions come to mind because you mentioned something that's very interesting, and everybody instantly thinks that off the rip when they hear poly, they hear multiple people, they think sex.
Oh,
So was and then just this the time, out my busy day, because I hear just in spaces, which it kind of makes logical sense. Um, if I'm at a certain age, if I, even if if I'm a certain age, or if I'm career driven, I don't have that much time on my hands to, be dating, more than one, because pretty much one is just enough because my headspace is like work, home activities, if you got kids, no kids, events, gym, all that good stuff, and what I'm planning for the future. So, so two questions: how did you find the time at that moment to, at that moment in the past to juggle 8, or even right now you said 2 with the V, and then also the second question is, was sex with the 8, was that like the main party for you?
right. So yeah, sex always comes up, and I understand why because there's more
Okay.
people. There are platonic partners that are not sexual. They're just there for mental, interactions, and you're just with them. Like
Mhm.
you go on dates with them, all things like that, but then maybe it's not sexual. So those partners do exist. I know it sounds crazy for some people. Like we got to get. There's
Yeah,
some people
yeah.
who just, they're not sexual with their partners, but they'll have them. Especially people who are like older. And I'm not trying to call anybody out, but older males who maybe aren't wanting to have sex or can't have sex that much, or maybe some erection dysfunction. I'm just being real honest. They're people too, obviously, and maybe they
Mhm.
don't want to have sex as much. They may actually end up being a platonic partner later on in life, which I've actually seen that happen. And she was still partnered with the man, and he was platonic, and it was fine. But for myself, having 8, I think when people hear relationship, they hear obsession. I know that sounds crazy, but there are
Okay.
some people who are really obsessed with their partners, And like you say, when you get to a certain age, you're not like obsessed with your partner. At least I hope not.
Uh-huh.
And like you got to call them every minute of the day. There's a lot of men out here who work a lot. They want to be career driven, especially, coming out their 20s. A lot of guys, don't hit the floor running. They wait till they're in their late 20s to start going. So a lot of the people that I was talking to, truck drivers, they're on the road a lot.
Yeah.
I talked to a few truck drivers, some people who were not local. I talked to a sheriff. I dated a sheriff before. These are the men I'm dating. They basically, like you said, the time, and a lot of women want a lot of the time, and I don't necessarily need that time. I just don't. I know that people are career driven and people want to, focus on themselves sometimes, and which is not bad.
Okay.
And I think it allows space for them to do that and not feel guilty, and I feel like they're not putting enough time into uh, their partner, because I don't make you feel bad for that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think a busy man actually would work for me. It's not for everyone. Like I said, you have to know yourself and what you need.
Yeah.
My partners, they don't. I like busy partners. It just, I feel like they're doing something with their lives. They're productive. They're goal oriented. They inspire me to do stuff. So those kind of people I kind of mesh with. So like I said, like truck drivers, I talk to a sheriff, they work certain hours. We still have contact. So I don't have to be like 5 hours a day I'm on the phone with you. It didn't have to be like that. It could be I'm texting you throughout the day here and there. And I had time for it. I really did have time for it. I didn't find any stress in doing such. And if you say you do, if you really think about it, any ladies out there, Ben, if you can sit on your phone and text someone here and there, you're posting things all day, how much time does that take?
Correct.
If you stopped doing that and did it to a real person, it would be no different. So I do have the time. It's just where I put it into, and I put it into these people. So that's why how I was able to do it. I was not sexual with all 8 partners that I had, or I wasn't even dating half of them. Like I said, I had at that time I had 3 committed partners, and the rest I kind of was just conversating with. They were long distance. Some of them were long distance. And then just kind of building on that to see if it was something that was going to be long term or not. Kind of like that. Yeah, it was nice.
Okay.
I missed one other question, didn't I? I don't think I answered.
I think you hit everything nail on the head. The specs, the distance, the time, how you organize your time. Like I said, it's priorities, right?
Yeah.
So, which it kind of makes sense, because I know a lot of career-driven women, just as so much time in their hands as the men, but maybe even more. But I know a lot of career-driven men is like, hey, I don't mind putting in the time to say, hey, if I'm coming home at 8, 9, I hope that you be there, or you better be there, or you need to be there, because I'm putting that time aside for you.
Yes.
Versus majority of the career women I'm aware of and I spoken to or seen, their, I don't want to say excuse, but it's pretty much their excuse is like, hey, I'm busy. This is why I didn't text you. I'm busy. This is why I didn't give you a phone call. I'm busy. Oops, I forgot.
Yeah.
Or hey, I schedule now. Majority of them are like, hey, I scheduled something for you, but man, I still forgot to even call you, even though I scheduled and planned for it, and that becomes problematic. So I'm not encouraging them to be on poly. Hey, that might just be an option for them, like,
right.
But to each his own. To each his own. But here's another one. So with that being said, so what's the difference between poly and open relationship versus threesomes? Because again, most people think that the mindset of poly is, hey, open relationship and versus threesome. Is there a rule involved with that?
I think what the real problem that happens, where the confusion is that we got to separate the sexual part of it.
Okay.
And I know it's hard for people, because that's all they hear. It's like, because there's more partners, you're gonna have more sex. There is a place for those people. That would be like 3-ways. People who want to live we call them the lifestylers. That's what we call them, lifestyle. Anybody who's kind of in this life with more than one partners, they know there's something called lifestyles. Lifestyles breed like anything sexual based. You don't really want a mental connection. You want more of a sexual connection. You'll go to maybe sex parties. You hear about these clubs, wife swapping, cock holds, all that. That's a sexual activity that you can do with your partner. You can be poly or not poly and be in that. You can be monogamous and trade your wife out every once in a while. And you would be in a lifestyler. And so you can kind of separate the two, then you can kind of see. So poly is kind of just saying I can be with more than one person at the same time, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna have my partner swap out or anything. So that's kind of separate from us. But you can also be both. You can be do dom stuff or whatever and be poly, and then you can just be poly and none of those things. So it's kind of like we have to separate the sex from it. Then that kind of makes it a little clear. But of course, if you have more partners, you're probably going to have more sex. I mean, that just makes sense on that aspect. But yeah, if you want to be sexual, you want to do open relationships. Open relationships too are kind of different. They basically, open relationship is more like, hey, I have my boyfriend and I'll let someone come in and have sex with us. See that sexual part? We can have sexual activity, but I don't want them to have any connection with my partner. After the sex is done or the Netflix and chill and screw, then we're done. They can go back, and they are not supposed to be calling my boyfriend.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to have any mental connection. Poly is not that.
Okay.
Poly is, we're getting the full-on boyfriend-girlfriend experience. I'm going on dates. You're spending time with me. You're putting energy into me. We're going to remember birthdays. It is the full-on experience. It's just with more than one person. So that's the best way I can explain the situation.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. All right. So again, just to separate that part. So in your dynamic, I thought of something earlier. I was following some by the name of I think her name is Brittany Simon on YouTube, and she's very big on, like, I hate these terms like, the bottom and the top. So with the dynamic that you started, do you feel like you're the top or the bottom since you initiated this for yourself?
I don't. I feel like I don't really feel like I'm the head of anything, real honestly. I mean, they kind of outnumber me when it comes to dudes, males, and female. They outnumber me. I think they still run the show here. It's just more of them than me, And after a while, because I've been with them for a good while, they've become, more of a friendship. So now it's like I have two people who come together and have conversations and can, kind of direct me where to go. So it's kind of like they're leading, and I'm just here following.
Okay. Okay. Now, have the V's met together before, or is it just like, hey,
yeah.
Okay.
We're still kind of separate. Like, so there's because even in poly world, I am still very unique. I date Black males who are heterosexual and usually don't see that. And that's what's kind of strange about people who see me. They don't think like that could work out, right? So I usually have they become friends, and so we kind of hang out together. We do stuff more as a group now than we used to. But, I mean, that took time. That didn't just happen like one weekend, though.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. I just want to, because I don't want to keep going back to sex, but I just want to ask this question just to get that out the way. So in the dynamic between you and your spouse, again, I know you made it abundantly clear, like, hey, sex is not always on the table. It's majority of a mental thing, and just, hey, the bonds of a good relationship, quote unquote, just the love factor of it all. So when you do, just the fact you end that dynamic with the V, and you said you still are open, is there conversations and discussions just about sex and the health part of it when it comes to diseases and stuff like that, and finances, whatever your relationship holds?
Oh, yeah.
And even kids or marriage, like, how does that work?
Absolutely. So definitely when you first start dating someone, you're going to get like all that stuff out. And I think that's what makes it really similar to just dating as a monogamous person. I'm going to find if you fit with me and what I'm doing already up front. That's going to be like the first couple weeks, So for me, us personally, like, do you want to have more kids? How many kids do we have all together? I wasn't living with my partners at all. And then now one lives with me. So that's changed. So over time, things have changed. One doesn't, one doesn't, but we have stayed together for like a short period of time while one was moving into a new home. And so we've had that experience of actually staying together all together. So that's happened. Like you said, it's kind of like experiencing these things as they go, but you're definitely going to find out, if people want children, we're going to talk about what that looks like. So some discussions I didn't really have to have, because I tell people, I have more than one partner up front already. But like, since we were so separate, I just really had to make time for each one, and that was kind of easy to do for me.
Okay. How long have both y'all how this dynamic been going?
2.5 years, and one's gonna be 3 in March.
Okay. Do y'all now? I saw one a documentary that one has suggested for him and relationship, because like you said, all of them's different. Just I guess to reevaluate y'all situation. Do y'all do like monthly check-ins, like, hey, let's all get together, have this conversation, like, are we still good, or it's just like a periodic, like just like any other one-on-one relationship, like, hey babe, just check on you, say I love you, or if there's a problem, or like, how does that work with y'all guys?
Yeah, conversations every day. Just like I said, we were monogamous. And when I break it down, then people are like, oh, it just sounds too easy and simple. It really is that easy and simple for us. Like, I wake up, okay, I'll text.
Oh, so I would say difference. I seen one where a couple, it was a dynamic of the guy and the two women, and he said, but he was a little bit different. He wasn't as transparent as you was in the beginning, because he had one relationship and then that was kind of lead on, and then he had another relationship on the side, and the woman already fell in head over heels with him. And then when then he's like, hey, let me spring the news on you, and she's like, well, I kind of still love him, so let me try it. And then so a little bit, but either way, how that went, the overall conversations that I heard was, hey, we still was in our feelings. We had little bumps here and there, but overall, the transparent conversation was key.
Right. And that's, I guess, when I started, I said F all that. Like, that's why I say, because my own YouTube channel is mzpolypolyright. I want people to do it right way, because when you come into it like that, people who are monogamous actually do that. They'll know some bad things about themselves, and like 6 weeks in, you find out that you start having real feelings for this person, and they start telling you all this crazy shit, and you're like, I started really liking you, and now do I want to give that up for these little stuff, or is it big enough for me to leave you? And they get tied in it, and that's not being transparent as a person. So when I start like dating, when I did dating apps, things like that, like, I am all the way like, hey, if you want to know how many partners I have, I tell you. And I know it's scary, because people are like, oh, well, they're not going to want me. And it's like, you have to give people the option to say no. I know that sounds crazy. Give me the option to say no, because I still get dated. My inbox is not empty. I have people who want to talk to me, who are interested in getting to know me. And it's because I'm just going to be honest with you, what it looks like. And then the right people are coming here, and I'm not trapping people in relationships who don't want to be here.
Okay.
No, you know what I'm saying? It's already hard enough to be in a relationship and be positive and go through ups and downs. You don't need extra garbage messing it up.
You're correct. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Like I said, it was, I don't know, like I said, men a little bit different.
They are
a little bit different. I think because women already know they got the options, whether they 304s, prostitutes, IG thoughts, all this stuff. Like, well, somebody's still gonna flirt with me. The next thing you know, that one's always gonna come along. Versus a guy, it's like, hey, I got to still maintain, and then it's still that insecurity, like if they find out factor. I think that's what it is, and it doesn't be really that big. It's like it could be a money issue, it could be a credit issue, and it still don't even be that bad, because the one will be like, hey, if we can fix it, we're good.
Right. There are some people who are like that. They're like, I'm good, and they're like, they just catch them like, you're a good person. And so, even further down the line, like, I guess even being poly, I wanted also to start with loving people the right way. And I know that sounds crazy, and I'm trying to promote that. Yeah, people can say that's stupid, but I want people to start trying to be really, really honest and just open and just about who they are as a person. And that's why I took away a lot of things. Like, I took away in my relationship, I took away things like money. Guys always have this big thing where they're like, hey, I have to make a certain amount of money or women are going to be with me. What if I told you, no matter, not saying if you don't work, I'm not saying if you say F it, I'm going to be lazy, because that's just a personality issue right there.
Correct.
But if I'm able to just take care of myself and I make $56,000 a year, are you going to be with me? And I'm a good person, I make time for you, and I'm putting in energy. Are you going to want to be with me because we can't go on a vacation every year, to these crazy places? And my answer is, I'm going to still be with you. I'm not going to do that. because I want a good person. At the end of the day, money comes and goes. I thought that the COVID would have helped people get that money doesn't stay forever. People go broke and people get rich, and it just
no, during COVID, mofos looking at each other like, I don't like you, don't like me. My money's still good. I just don't like you. So that opened so many doors for people right there, like on a whole nother level.
That's what I thought that was gonna make it better. It didn't. It didn't. No, it didn't. But clearly,
suicide rates was high. Everybody's going polio loco on COVID. You know, heck, they were still in sanitizing tissue, so that should tell you something.
Right? It was bad. No, they didn't want to hear that. So yeah, I definitely took away money. Okay. I found that even like men, like I said, what do you think? You know, they say, what's the value of man? And I'm like, if they feel like they're valued by their money and their career status, and if I say that's not what I'm worried about. Like, what can you offer to me as a person? To me, it's individual. Then it changes everything. The question is now, they're like, I don't know what to give you, and I'm just saying, be yourself.
Okay, that's a good lesson. I think that should be a lesson even just for women that's not even into polyamorous, because I think that's a hard understanding just for women, because they will, hey, I work so hard, so it's like I earned this is mine, and it's like, okay, we get it, but if you got to say that, hint to that, especially around a guy, it's like instant turn off. Then whether they have insecurities or not, then they're going to fall back in a certain way. Then you're not going to reach them the way you want them to. Then so much stuff happens. So I think that's a good lesson on all ends. Now, because you're pretty much touching bases on agreements and requests, did you have any other agreements and requests between the two that the dynamic you're working with? Like any other rules that y'all have, or if they have rules with you, or is just
we like our policies. So we've grown into some different things. Like I said, as things change, because they were monogamous. They were not poly. So these are people who come from monogamy into a poly relationship with myself, and so like dealing with jealousy and things like that came up, because that's just we should naturally come up as someone coming into this. We've been doing really well. I think the only rule I would say. We did make some rules I think was good for everyone, like no sexual conduct without like obviously vetting, and then we obviously you asked about sexual, so like testing. There, like if I was gonna be sexual with someone, I'm gonna get tested. I'm not talking about that, oh, I got tested, babe, kind of crap. No, I mean we see full on papers. Everybody is full on papers, and usually like the sexual contact, we talk about it. Like, so I'm like, you know what, let's just say, for example, I was like, hey, I met someone, I've been talking to them for 6 weeks now or so, and I'm interested in maybe being sexual with them. Okay, well, let them know, get tested, let's see what's up, go from there. And then it's kind of like, this is open. Not like we have to schedule every minute, but definitely have that schedule to get testing and things like that, to be in a safe situation. And then you should know, I get to know them pretty well during that time. But I haven't really been like adding anyone. So we have like an adding thing. If I add someone, my other partners, they don't date anyone. So they don't date anyone. That's why I said, look, polyandry.
Okay. I'm just gonna claim you the top regardless. I'm saying like,
I mean, it's not me.
I know you're not choosing, like it's just like the top is just happening regardless if you want it or not.
Yeah, that's what happens. But when I guess I had to clear it up, because I went to a poly group and they were like, you're not polyandry. And I said, I know, but when I'm in these other places, I look that way. So I have to just say it. But I'm trying to be better at making sure I don't confuse anyone who's not poly. So I'm, but I appear polyandry because my partners aren't seeking other partners right now. So
yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a dynamic, so it's closed. It is what it is.
I just don't know.
You know what? It's crazy. Like, you still get judged no matter what. Like, hey, I'm one of y'all.
No, you ain't gonna do it.
You gotta have it like this. Oh Lord, let me go somewhere else.
don't do. Yes, I just hey, whatever you want to call me, I'm down. It's fine.
All right, so I thought it was just kind of silly, but the way you're breaking it down, do you, like, just for scheduling for your time, do you Google Calendar it? Do you write it down? You don't.
There's some people who do, and it's needed sometimes. I agree. It's a need for it. But since like even before, because they were so, like I said, I get busy people. So at the end of the day, it's like they'll be like, hey, are you doing something on Tuesday? I want to come over. Or someone's like, hey, I'm around the corner. I want to hang out. Okay. And a lot of times there was no bumping issue. I just didn't have it. Or I'll be like, okay, I know I'm gonna go over here Wednesday. I usually go over there, and they probably like, oh yeah, on Wednesday you usually go over there, right? Yeah, okay. And like they just wouldn't ask to
Okay.
interfere. It just I'm really open with, hey, I'm going over here. Like I said, you said there's rules. We dating. If I start dating someone, I'm up front, like, hey, I was talking to this guy. He seemed cool. He asked me on a date. Maybe I'll go out with him to see, what he's like as a person. So it's kind of like really open conversations that are scary for monogamous people. Like, what do you say when you like someone? And I've had it happen. I've been alive, and a guy was in my life, and I really, really was like attracted to him. And my partner came in, and he was like, "Hey, he's like, who's this guy?" And I was like, "I really like him. He's cool." And he was like, "Okay." And it was kind of weird, but I said it right in the moment. I was like, I don't know, I'm kind of feeling this guy. And he was like, "Okay." And I think he liked him. Like he thought he was a cool person. So he was like, yeah, go ahead and talk to him. I guess the fear of me like violating anything, we're past that. Like I'm not gonna be sending pictures of myself or weird stuff 2 days in. So not violating the trust it makes it easier for me to be able to move the way I move.
Okay, so it be moment that you have like with them and you, it'd be any little jealousy moments, and also when you mention the counterpart, like, hey, I'm visiting, do you do, because I know most let's say the solo monogamous relationship, it's like it's rules of that too, but most people, most time women, but like, hey, well, that's my man, I can stop by his house anytime. Do you have that type moments like that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I know. Oh no, I did that. Sorry, I usually know. Like I said, this is the real beginning when I started dating one of my partners. Like he actually, I think he had a roommate, and she was a girl, and she had friends come over and things like that. So sometimes I would be like, oh, hey, is it okay to come over? Or I would say, hey, I'm close by. Is that okay if I come by or whatever? Just not to violate their roommate, arrangement. So it has happened. It's not like I guess we're so open, it doesn't feel violated, Okay. I'm like, hey, or they'll ask like, hey, someone's over there, or I'll say, hey, someone's come by later. I guess we know what the right questions to ask.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I don't know what questions to ask. Yeah. Like, does he work tonight? Yeah, he works tonight. Okay. I might come by. It's like that. It's kind of like we just know what to ask. It's not weird.
Okay. Do your guys in their early stages, or even still now, because moving forward, most things, relationships, whether it's marriage, whatever, let's say every 10 years, everybody evolves, you're not the same person you met. You didn't, if you loved them 5 years ago, you said 2 to 3 with yours, you love them and what made you the attraction toward them and loving them, and then it evolved, and you know what, that might not be the same person, because you might not be the same person. Just to be honest. So do your guys actually do micromanage adjustments with your relationships?
I think a little. A little.
And I'll give you an example. Like, let's just say y'all all got because all y'all wear each other. It's like, hey, everybody got a vehicle, and y'all just happen to be at the house one day. It's like, you know what? I'll take. Let's say you're one. I'm still cleaning the top, and 2 and 3, like, hey, I'm taking 2's card, and 3 say, hey, I'm taking your card. Like, was that discussed previously? And then you had the one move in with you. So was that a discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, we have it. When we all lived together, which was like actually a more recent thing. We've done that. Like, okay, so I would like to use your car. Like, we just say, hey, I want to use your car. It's okay to take your car, and it's like, yeah. It just seems like we just function very real easy, like, because I think of how I've made that environment. So it's been very, very natural. To say, hey, you want to grab this, or like we're gonna have a party. You take 2 of the kids, I take these 3 because they're annoying and loud together. And we do function like that. We kind of micromanage, or like couple times we've had someone say, hey, like if I want to do this job, I might have to, live farther away from you. Do you feel like that would be weird? Like we've asked things like that for long term, because I feel like these are my long term partners. Okay. So things like that, definitely and kind of see where they are. I asked before the question really appears. I'll be like, so how do you feel if this happened? What would you want to do? Just to get
Okay.
a heads up. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now we mentioned about future. And you said you're at V, and for you it's open, even though currently right now it's closed. Is there a limit for you? Is this going to stick at 2?
Yeah, I do have a limit. I've made my limit like 3. I don't
3.
I would think 3 is a good number. I would like to maybe be a quad. I mean, I have lots of options, obviously. A quad would be like 2 women, 2 men.
Okay.
I'm not bisexual, like I said, but I don't mind having a platonic woman partner.
Okay.
Um,
So that would be your idea, like the quote unquote unicorn, just
yeah,
another partner, but it'd be a woman.
maybe a woman. I'm open
Okay.
to a woman having a partner.
Okay.
Like I'm a compersionist, so I like to see my partners being loved by other people.
Okay.
So to have another woman, I think would really equals out. But I mean, it's possible to have another male. Like I've had 3 before for a couple,
Okay.
like 6 months or something. That's interesting. That's
Okay.
interesting. Yeah.
So that's 3, and that's where you're stopping at.
I think so. That's
Okay.
for me. I
Okay.
think it would give a good round loving. There you go.
Okay. Would you want that person? Because it was again, think about this conversation with someone else that for them they knew it was like you said, the relationship which you're in now is pretty much, hey, it's been so long. It's not like a 1 month in and out and disappear here and there. So everybody knows each other, have a solid found relationship, the stuff you're telling me. So for you, it's like a third. So would you want that third to be in that same dynamic? Or you like, hey, if they come and go, it doesn't matter. Or you just like, hey, I just want a nice fit, loving family in that group, and we could just all take off from there.
Right. Because I'm like more monogamous. I think in that sense, like I don't think that's attractive to run all over the place because I feel like you're not making real attachments to people and you may be hurting people. So I actually don't like that.
Okay.
That feel. So yeah, if it was someone, I would want them to be like if it was a long-term partner, of course, I want them to kind of feel like if they want to be here for a while to decide to maybe cut off other people. Not saying you have to right away. I'm not, that comes with time. You have to know if you want to be in this relationship for that long. So, I'm really kind of open to those things. But yeah, I mean, definitely if we were to bring another person in this, even if it was a woman and they wanted to still explore, I don't know, other people and things like that, that would be something that we would have to obviously try to ask if they were, hey, what you doing? We might have to be a little bit more, I don't know, I don't want to say invasive, but just be like, okay, aware of what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. That's why I say you could take your time, vet your people, because they could change their mind. One of the times I first started, the reason why that partner removed himself when we broke up is because he said he wanted to be married and he wanted more children. Okay. And I was like, okay. And he said he wanted them in a year. And I was like, oh, well, I don't think that's going to work. And it wasn't a bad thing. He found someone like actually that year. We still dated until he found someone. And then he ended up, he had a child like that year with them. And we just ended our relationship. And it wasn't on bad terms. It was just like, okay, well, I want you to have that. And he's engaged and everything. So he was able to find what he was looking for and still have a relationship with me and still be friends afterwards. And it's fine.
Okay. It's a cool mutual understanding, and that works. That works. Honesty all day. All right. So last thing at top of my head for the question goes is needs and meets. And, here's a list I came across, like, hey, the 6 was growth, certainty, uncertainties, significance, connection, and contribution. Does any of those in your list too when it comes to that dynamic, or would you add a little bit more to that?
Yeah, I definitely when I do my process, I'll say I've done like, what can I give you? What can you give me? Okay. And what do I actually need from you? Okay. And that kind of makes it easier to find out who fits you best. And I think me finding out if I'm giving you what you need is really important too, because I'm not giving you what you need. You're only giving into me. Then you're obviously going to be exhausted of resources, however, the emotional resources, financial resources. If you can't, what I'm saying, whatever it is, if we're not a good match, it's just not going to match. So I feel like the people I'm with now, it's a good match for what I can give to you and what you can give to me. Even if it's not equal, I think the one thing that messes everybody up is that love doesn't have to look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like way I love one partner is not gonna be the way I love the other one. Someone needs something that you may not need. And I've seen partners get jealous and say, oh, why do you do that with them? And I'm like, do you really want me to do that with you? Or you just want me to do it with you because you see me doing it with someone else?
Correct.
And that's really a lot of the issues. Like, no, I really don't want you to do that with me, but it looks like you guys have fun together. I'm like, well, just be happy we're having fun. And then when we do something, it can be something different. It doesn't have to look exactly the same to be a good relationship. It can look different.
Fair enough. All right. So just for me, just to clarify everything, because I don't want to go too far deep off the record, because I know it was we're talking about the quad, and I heard that's a whole nother conversation. We might make that a part 2.
Sure, yeah, the quad.
Yeah, make that part 2. And because the lady was giving an example of it. At that point, I'm fine with the conversation how you line it up. After that, it just got so confusing to that point. It was just off the rails. So I'm like, okay, everybody just like in the recess in the playground is saying about just wee all over the place. And I didn't understand that. Or I just had to be a millionaire, just like have me a harem of women. And I could say that's my poly because, that's what it was. To me, that's what I'm looking at.
It gets complex. And that's why I tell people, and I think that like, so I'm like in the middle. I know poly people are like you say, I don't fit in because some poly people get so deep in the words and it's just word soup. I'm like, throw those words away. Just make it real simple, stop make it complex. And like, I've been in discussions where people are like, oh, well, this word, you said this word, but this word means this. And I'm like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Stop trying to pick at the word. And it's just stupid. Just like one girl, I just throw an example. For example, someone said, I heard that I've been cheating on all the time, but you're telling me it's poly with, I don't get it. And we're like, no, just because you said we were non-ethical. That's what it was. Non-ethical. I said non-ethical poly is basically saying you're doing poly without someone's knowledge. It's the same as cheating. So I said, basically, yeah, he said the same thing. And she made an argument for 2 hours. And I was like, all they're saying is that you were cheated on and you didn't know what was going on. So it's non-ethical poly. And she's like, that's not poly at all. I was like, it is. That's what we're trying to explain to you. It's non-ethical, which is cheating, basically. And it was just a whole 2-hour discussion.
I have that same concept, just on YouTube alone, because there's other spaces, I don't want to call them out, but not them, particularly just the ideas. And it's like, hey, the Matrix, they gave their rules, and I'm thinking like it was just, it's kind of like, not gonna say word salad, but it's like a curriculum, a slang, a term. It's always a new form coming up, but then the layers are so peeled down from this one term based from, let's just say, a movie, so to speak. And it was like, and it got so deep with it. And I'm good with the conversation of it all, but it went so deep. And I'm like, it's not that serious.
It's not.
It comes back at the end of the day. You're 100% right. Whether it's 1-on-1, 2-on-1, 3-on-1, or 2-on-2, it's a conversation agreement. So I think the unethical part was nobody to have the conversation. It wasn't consistent. And I think that's where either she or the partner she's with failed on. So yeah, so I understand that. Was there, now for you and your dynamic, is there a main?
Oh no. Oh, no? A hierarchy, yeah. Okay. I say no, but I'm gonna let you know that if you talk to them, they will probably say yes. And
who they pick?
They will pick. They say the one who's with me the most. Okay. And so I don't do that because how I love people is after you get to love, you're at love. There's no a little more or less. I don't have a little more or less. I'm just loving you the same. But they say, well, you're doing a little bit more. And I say, well, I don't think it's fair. Like I just told you, it can look different. I can spend a whole bunch of time with you, but the other person I spend, 3 hours with a week, they can have really intimate moments and have great time together. And I don't value that more than the everyday. So then technically, no. But they do feel
it's a preference. It's a preference, like the one with the great deed versus the one with the great emotion connection. So it's like this the one I'm choosing over the other.
Right. They want me to choose. I'm gonna say I will not because I just don't feel that. I feel like if someone was to take one away, it wouldn't be like, oh, I'll just replace him. Like I can't replace that person. You can't replace people. That's how I feel about it. And that connection I had with them, regardless if they leave and go do something else, I can't replace them. They're not replaceable with the other partner.
Yeah.
So, one of those bad things I hear people say is like, I used to get taunted about it was like, if I had a little argument with one, they would say, oh, well, just get rid of them and just stay with the one you have. And I'm like, damn, we harbor like that, we cut though. No, that's not. I don't want to do that.
Be honest. That's a woman telling you that. Just you go ahead and tell me. Wink, wink.
It was a lady. Ladies tell me really mean things all the time. Oh my God, just throw them away. Why you got to? I get ladies.
City boys be down. Yeah, city boys be down. They know.
They just, I say, damn, yeah, he didn't even really do nothing. I be defending him like, damn, shoot, he got a little, he wanted to play the game a little longer than I wanted to do. Shit, I don't throw him away for that, like I don't know.
Jeez, that's bad. That is bad.
It's not good.
Have you had you coming up, because right now you say you got 2 consistents, you're looking for a third. So when you started, did you have any very negative or toxic experiences, or you thought everything through? It's like, hey, it was some bumps, but there's nothing major, nobody, because again, regular for somebody popped up, the beauty was so dynamic. I gotta get it. The P was so great. I'm busting windows just to get at the house and texting and calling. Okay, nothing like that.
No, we're not toxic, crazy people. We're very calm people. I think because everyone knows everything. So like, if you're just mad, you can be mad, but you really just have to be mad internally a little bit, I guess. Because you know what was going on. So you can't really say, and I'm gonna be real honest with you. I don't even think of anything like, like I said, as soon as I see someone, if I'm interested, if they start calling my phone, I have no lock on my phone. If you want to read a message, you can read it. The only thing I will say is because, obviously people who talk to me, sometimes it's private. I will say, if you do see something like that, keep that to yourself if that's the case. But usually I'll say, it's open. I'm not hiding the conversations I'm having. Yeah, did someone say they wanted to kiss me or be romantic? It's possible. That's what you do when you're interested. So are you surprised by them being attracted to me? I guess that's how I feel like it's just too open for that. But I've had this happen before, and this was not good. So I've had one partner dislike my other partner, and that has happened. And they to this day, it's like it is a I hate you, it's on site kind of situation. But it wasn't because of me. So that makes it wasn't because of me. They had their own thing. They were like, I don't know what was going on. They just had their own.
Well, wouldn't that be a deal breaker just for the poly? You know what I'm saying?
It was.
Yeah, okay.
It was. Me and him had broke up, and my other partner was still being nice to him. They still had they socialized a little bit, and online still, and we had broke up. And maybe my partner was like, well, that's between you two. That has really nothing to do with my relationship with him. And that was fair to say. So Correct. If you wanted to still be friends with him, there was no place for me to say anything. But I don't know what happened. They had got an argument once, and it just kept rolling and rolling.
I know what happened. It was the remote. Somebody was fighting over the remotes. I know.
Wow. I know. No, they didn't. We didn't live in the same state. It was literally online. It was a shit show. Like, I don't know.
Maybe it was a TikTok video. TikTok going crazy now.
I'll tell you one thing that happened to me. It was funny because I knew it wasn't about me, so I didn't have no issue with it. But I had when my ex called me, and he goes, "Will you tell your boyfriend to stop talking shit online about me?" And he was next to me. He's like, "No, you tell him to call me." I said, "Oh Lord." I said, "Well, you heard what he said," and I just let that go. So it was like, but it definitely, even though like I said, we broke up, I usually try to have some okay terms afterwards because breakups usually happen, it's whatever. But I actually had to stop my friendship with him because I was like, my partner just doesn't like you to that extent that we can't have contact. Yeah.
Okay.
That was bad.
For the viewers out there and everybody in the replay, so for people that's interested to find out where to go, how to, be poly. Well, we already know where to go to be poly. We go to Miss Poly's and Instagram and your YouTube channel again.
Yeah, mzpolypolyright. And I have some videos in there about how to kind of start it if you want to know how to start it and kind of get the lingo and all those things. And, I even have a life coaching business. I set up so someone wants to, kind of work through it. We can do that too. And it's affordable. It's nothing crazy. So you can just kind of learn how to do little things, find out where to go to find poly people. It's a whole nother world, literally within a world.
And your Instagram again?
Yeah, mzpolypolyright.
Okay.
Everything mzpolypolyright.
Yes, and I'm gonna put all the links at the bottom, so don't ask me nothing about no poly because I'm learning just like everybody else. I'm just again getting the understanding, and it's great just to hear the perspective, so we know where to go. So again, even if they can't find you, just like, hey, you know what? Maybe you're just not the right person to have the conversation with. Like, how would a person just in any other random state, like, how would they know where to go? Because there's always lost people out in the world.
It is, and there's misinformation. Let's be honest. So I will say, start with TED Talks. If you guys ever heard of TED Talks, those are people who are scholars, okay? And put TED Talk into YouTube and put poly after it. Polyamorous, polyandry, polygamy, and they're going to actually break it down. It's going to be fun, exciting. They're usually like an hour-long conversations, and they're going to break down the emotional parts and all that. And then when you see the TED Talks, usually have a connection. You'll find doctors and things like that who can describe how the emotional, connections with people are, how your attachments, and then you can kind of build on your own emotional place and see if you're able to deal with people. And like you said, there's a lot of stuff on YouTube, but TED Talk would be the best. It's scholars. And then from TED Talk, find something. Because you're going to find that ghetto group, okay? You're going to find that ghetto man or woman who are looking for a boo. And it's not that. It's like a weird crap. Go to that for fun. Know what but if you want to get real educated, go to TED Talks, get the education. And then you can go in there and you can decipher, hey, they're just doing this for fun. They're a couple. They just want a unicorn, which is like, and they just want somebody to come in and out the relationship, and you can decipher better. So that definitely is a good place to go, even if you don't want to.
Just let me put a stamp on that too, because again, when she's saying unicorn, she's not meaning just a sexual, just short term. She mean like long term. If we got, because again, the list was growth. So if a person like, hey, this is what I want, this is our dynamic, and just to help, just to be dumb clear, hey, if you're making less and this one's making more, but this one got more free time, that dynamic works,
Yes.
It comes back to the conversation. I can't tell nobody how their relationship's supposed to work. It's just a dynamic. You filter out as you go, like you said, you vet. So if she's been transparent, like, hey, if you want kids, if you want marriage, but I don't, we can just cut the cord. But if I'm still open to dating, I don't mind dating you, but guess what? But when you find your goal, because your goal is still to be looking, if you're in that poly, meet your goal, because you want the growth, you want the understanding, you want to be the certainty and the uncertainty up front. And if you do meet that growth, guess what? It's contributions as we go along. So did I hit that nail on the head? Yeah.
That sounds good. And you know what's so funny? Because I will put this out there, because I this is the red pill. I think it's the real red pill gentleman. I'm not sure exactly, because all the pills are, I even find, because people will say, oh, well, you have some men coming at you, no one's going to find you attractive. And I think a lot of that, like you said, being able to conduct myself and care for people in the way I do, the men who actually come to me are a lot of times those high value men that people keep talking about, because they don't have the time that a lot of women are asking them for. So, and I'm just being honest, a lot of times poly works for people who are extremely busy men who are working. This works for them. And then you're not getting penalized. Oh, you're not going to have sex with me, or I'm not going to do this for you, or I'm going to cheat on you because you don't have, this amount of hours, or you're not giving me this amount of this. And it's more like, okay, I'm enjoying you for you. And then when you have the time, that's okay. And I'm not going to feel some kind of way about it. So those are things you have to, you think about. And yeah, those kind of men, even ladies, if you're interested in poly or polyamory, those kind of men, they're in this market.
Yeah. And there's black men too, because again, I saw a lot of videos where it was a dynamic where two Latino females and one brother, another one brother, and two females. So they're out there, just a combination. And again, just come back to the conversation. And again, Ms. Polly, thank you again for just having a conversation with me. Later down the road, I guess we're making a part 2. Again, anybody, just to branch it out a little bit, more on the quiet one. So So again, I appreciate everybody for coming in. If you're new, hit the subscribe button, all that good stuff. So I don't know. We'll check you out next time. Maybe we'll do a pill person come on here. They'll explain themselves or see how that goes.
Right.
So thank y'all again.
Yes, thank you.